podcast.
We on time. Grind time.
Welcome to GrindTime ATL. You know what I'm saying? This is WDG GrindTime, aka Willie Green. I'm here today as your host, and I'm gonna welcome my co-host.
What's up, y'all? It's Shondea. I am going to be the co-host, and we're going to be talking about some real life things, mental health. We're going to be talking about the youth. We're going to be talking about celebrities. We're going to be talking about friendships. We're going to be talking about it all.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about everything: family dysfunctions, mental health awareness, youth development, whatever. You know what I'm saying? We coming hard with this. We're gonna try to become one of the greatest podcasts in the nation. Today, I want to talk to you about grinding through the struggle. Your transformation coming from Queens to Atlanta. How did your transformation coming from Queens to Atlanta, how did it come about? What made you want to come to the dirty South?
So, well, let's just say this first. I'm a Queens baby. I'm a New York baby. I'm never going to take that off of my back. But I wanted a different, scenery for my family. And it's a lot of things going on in New York right now. And I used to come here a lot. I came here a lot for different things. I came here for the Bronner Brothers hair show because I am a hairstylist. And I started off young, and then I had celebrity clients that I would come here for, and then everybody would talk about how cheap it was to live here. So when they would talk about that, it got me more interested. And then as I got older and I had children and I opened up my business, it's just a lot of things that started happening in life. So I needed to move from where I was at. And once I did that, once that started happening, I came down here and I stayed here for like a week, me and my husband, and I was like, I think we're gonna do it. We just gonna move.
Okay, then how you feel like, do you feel like being here in Atlanta, was it easier for you? Like, was it like, cause you said, as far as the struggle in New York and everything, cause it works out the same here to me. Being in New York with the prices being high and all this, it works out the same because they don't pay down here like they do in New York.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, do you think that it was a better feel for you here, it's more comfortable and relaxed?
So, and no, when I first got here, it was not comfortable because I had so much. Like, I built my business in New York. I was born and raised there, and I was the one that was like, I'm never going anyplace else. I'm going to stay here forever. I don't care how much I'm paying for stuff. But I think the hardest part was closing down my salon and moving my family I created here. And then once you get someplace that you've never been before, it's easy to travel somewhere and go back home. But then when you stay, I let go of so much. Money was low, my trying to stay sane was extremely hard.
Okay.
Me and my husband, we bickered and argued a lot because I wasn't in a good space because I was trying to figure out how I was going to make some money.
Right.
So I tried to do everything I possibly could. I did booth rent, I did commission, I worked at Amazon, I worked as a cafeteria lady.
Right.
I commuted back and forth from New York to Atlanta just to service my clients. So I would need to make a lot of money. So those 2 days, even the people in the shop, they'd be like, "Day, you be here till 5 o'clock in the morning, then you go straight to the airport."
Right.
But I had to do what I had to do to get to where I am now.
Right.
So it wasn't easy at all.
So during your grind, like when you transformed out here, you went through all these struggles. How did you get through the mental health part? Because I know I did transformation from state to state, dealing with relationships and all that type of stuff. And it'd be pretty rough when you coming from one place and you ended up into another place. How did that really affect your mental health? I know it was stressful. I know that times probably got a little rough and you probably was on edge sometimes. So how did that work out for you?
It was rough for a long time. But I got to a point where I did not want to keep going through what I was going through.
Right.
And then I feel like I've always been faithful, but a lot of the people that I met while I was doing the things that I was doing, they made me see things in a different light. And I wanted more for us. So what I wound up doing is I prayed. I asked for guidance. I asked for just a clear mind on where I'm supposed to be going and what I'm supposed to be doing. And I had to do a lot of self-evaluating.
Right.
I was the one always pointing the finger, but never wanted the finger to be pointed at me. So I think I had to do a lot of self-reflecting and just come to the realization that you have things that you need to
You
get
got
together.
to. You got to. That's a fact. So how did you have a lot of family support during your transformation?
I had a lot of family support. I've always had my family support. Um, Mostly my mom and my dad and my husband's mom. They helped us with the
Right.
children a lot because we used to live 5 minutes away from the airport.
Wow,
Now we live
that's
45
crazy.
minutes away from the
Yeah,
airport.
that's crazy.
So we needed that. You know, we have them. We still have them now that help us with our kids. So we have a lot of support.
Well, that's good, man, because a lot of people, they don't really have a lot of family support. You know, it's like myself, I don't have a lot of family support, you know what I'm saying? So most of the grinding I had to do it on my own, you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking about from coming from juvenile to doing prison time to just living life, coming through the streets hustling. I had to do it because I ain't have a lot of family support. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people don't have what you had during the transformation. But while you was grinding here, what were some of the things that helped you along through your struggle when it came to your husband? I mean, I know he's a very supportive man, you know what I'm saying? So I know he had to pat you on the back. I know he had to get cursed out a lot and take a lot of heat, you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
you're a female, you feel me?
Yeah. So when we first got here, it was bad.
Right.
You know, we were in a bad place before we got here.
Right.
So I wasn't too sure of what that was going to actually look like when we got
Yeah.
here, but I did ask him before we got here to bear with me. You know, I said,
Right.
can you please bear with me because I don't know how I'm going to feel. I don't know what emotions I'm going to be going through. I don't know what's going to happen. And when it happened, it didn't go the way that I thought it was going to go.
Right.
Like we argued, we went back and forth. He was going back to New York. I was going back to New York.
Yeah.
You know, it was not easy. But then,
Right.
like I was saying before, there were a lot of things that I had trauma from.
Right.
You know, I had family trauma. I had a whole big situation that had wound up happening not too long before we moved, and I hadn't healed from that. So I'm not going to say there weren't things that he could have done, but I feel like it was more me. Like I needed to get to a point where I knew this is where I wanted to be and I needed to change. And one day he told me, he's like, you are doing all of this and saying all of these things to me because you don't want to say these things to the people that you really need to say it to.
Right.
You know, so he was like my punching bag, and I didn't want him to feel like that. So I had to really be like, okay, no, you got to chill out and see what's wrong. So I got a mentor, I got therapy, you know, whatever it took for me to get myself together, and I started grinding. You know, I went to school. I had literally only been here about a year, and in that time I didn't had all 3 of those jobs. And I went back to school to be a cosmetology instructor.
Wow. So you
So I
got a lot
started
going
doing
on.
things. And then once I met people, they kind of led me in the right direction. So I'm so grateful for that.
But let me tell you, man, I'm telling you, like, from a man's perspective, we are punching bags, you know what I'm saying, for our women, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, when y'all going through it, it's just manly for us to take whatever y'all got going on, you know what I'm saying? So being a punching bag, you know what I'm saying, I can understand. But with him being there and support you through it, I kind of understand him wanting to leave and go back to New York because,
Yeah.
you know, women can get to a man, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I know.
But that's real love, you know what I'm saying? When a man allow you to punch on him, you know what I'm saying? As far as your family dysfunction, things that you had going on in your family, that's something that a lot of people go through. And it takes a long time to heal from family dysfunction.
Yep.
Certain family dysfunctions you can't
come back
You can't.
from.
Where you can actually forgive, you can move on, you can get over it, but you'll never forget it. You know what I'm saying? There's still gonna be a little pain there. You know what I mean? So I can relate to that. So do you think that had played a big part in your mental health? You know what I'm saying? Because everybody has some form of mental health. I don't care who you are, even preachers, pastors, everybody got some form. To me, you know what I'm saying? Everybody has some form of mental health.
So you asking me, do I feel like my family had a part in my mental health?
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Wow.
I have a lot of things that happen in my family. Just to be transparent, like I found out that I was raised by a man that wasn't my dad.
Wow.
I found that out when I was 29 years old.
Wow.
You know, so
Did he know that? Did he know he
I think he knew, but he still stayed. You know, like he
Okay.
stayed in my life. You know, he's
So do you think he knew, or he was just curiously knowing? Like he didn't know for sure. So
on paper he didn't know.
Okay,
but
okay.
to me, I feel like he did know.
right.
But he was already in my life, and I commend him because he never left.
Right.
You know, and it didn't come out the best way, but once I became, you know, an adult and it wound up coming out, I understood why he wanted to know.
Right.
You know, so now I have 3 fathers. You know,
Wow.
I'm grateful for that. But I
Yeah.
think it really did, because what wound up happening is I started thinking about a lot of stuff that was happening that I went through as a child.
Right.
You know, and I do have a relationship with my biological father. Like, I actually found out like who that is, and he has children that I'm never gonna have a relationship with. So they're older. They're my age.
And
But
why
it's
is that? You
harder.
don't think you will have a relationship with them because y'all don't want to have a relationship, or
I would love to have a relationship
Right,
with them
right.
because I have kids. You know, we can't take back the time that we missed, right?
That's
like we
right.
can't get back the time that we missed. But I have a son and I have 3 brothers.
Oh,
They're
wow.
not gonna have no relationship with my son because we don't have a relationship.
right.
So that does bother me, but I don't try not to harbor on it because for whatever reason, God had it happen like this.
Right.
And I'm happy that I didn't leave the earth not knowing. So it took me a while to get over that. Like,
That's
I had a lot of
crazy.
resentment toward my mom. I had a lot of resentment towards, the people that I thought knew.
Right.
But I had to let go. And my dad, the one that raised me, I think he's the one I looked at the most because he lost the most.
Right,
I feel like
right,
he doesn't
right,
have any
right.
other children, so I feel like he lost a lot more than anybody else in the situation did, and he forgave everybody in the situation.
That's good,
So if
though.
you can forgive,
Right,
you
right.
got to think about how you want to leave this earth. Do you want to stay mad,
Right.
forever, or harboring those feelings?
That's crazy because there's a lot of people going through that kind of trauma and stuff like that. But we're gonna go ahead and end this on a good note, man. I'm real proud that you came through all your struggles and trials, and I think that you're gonna gain a lot more success. You know what I'm saying? We're closing. I'm gonna just say, GrindTime ATL, y'all, to the people, to the viewers, great conversations, viewers. If you got any comments, comment, subscribe. We're gonna be back on another episode, and we're gonna do this all the time, and we're gonna speak nothing but politics and facts.
Facts
Peace
only.
out. GrindTime ATL.
What's with all that drama that they be talking? It's time for Willie Green to get the podcast running. It's our